Hello, hello, happy Friday. Woohoo! We made it to the end of the week, you guys. So I'm really excited about this broadcast tonight. So if you get a second, can you please make sure you like and share this broadcast? Be sure to share it because we know that tonight is going to be a blessing that I'm really excited about. My guest, she's the life of the party. I can tell that she's a lot of fun, and I know that we're going to have a candid conversation tonight because there's nothing like us being able to share about where God brought us from. There's no shame, no condemnation because we all had some things we had to overcome. And so we should never be ashamed of what God has done in our lives. And I'm really, really looking forward to this broadcast. And I'm so thankful that she took the time out of her schedule to come on here. So I'm not going to delay the time. I'm going to go ahead and bring her up. Hello, hello.
Hi, everyone. Hi,
Hello,
Apostle.
hello. Yes, thank you so much for coming on. And can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Rivka Smalls, and now I'm a Brown. Hey, I'm from Yamasee, the big city of
Mm,
Yamasee, South
okay.
Carolina.
Where they drink tea.
Okay, but yes, and I'm the third oldest of Marie Smalls. So a lot of people probably know me through my mom as well. But I'm quite sure I have made a name for myself already. So, hey, I once was called Marcus' little sister or Alexis' little sister, but now I finally have an identity of my own.
Oh, that's wonderful. Welcome to the club. I was a little sister too.
See, see,
I tell you, it's like that never goes away.
it never goes away, never.
It does not. Hello, hello there. Look what we got over
Hi, Pastor
here.
T.
How you doing? So let's kind of get into this. Can you kind
Sure.
of tell me about your childhood, how you grew up, and we just kind of start from there?
Sure. Um, my childhood was at home. It was lit, like the kids say. It was
Oh,
lit. It was my mom. She raised four of us by herself, and we stayed in church. So everybody that knew us, they always say, "Well, my mom." I won't say she sheltered us, but she protected us. So all we knew was church, school, had to visit the nursing home and the hospital. So I'm like, and as I got older, I'm like, the nurse, I'll go visit you in the hospital. Nursing homes, I'm still asking God to help me with that. That was my childhood. My sister and my brother, my mom, she worked real hard. When I tell you that lady worked real hard. My oldest sister Alexis and my brother Marcus, they used to like look at us, and my grandmother. And so they made our childhood like really fun. They got out there, they played with us. Um, it was just it was fun. It was fun. Going into school. School was fun. It was fun until my grandmother died. I didn't know how. I was 9 years old when my grandmother passed, and as I got older, I realized that I didn't know how to like cope with death because that was like one of the first close person that I knew that died. I didn't have anymore. That was one was in my corner. So I didn't have like after that my school was just like a daze for me. Like it was I don't want to say horrible, but it wasn't to where as a child like in adulthood I don't have some good memories of it because I had teachers that tell me that I would never be anything. So,
wow.
I literally had that. I had one teacher call me outside because she asked me why I didn't like her daughter. And it was family at that time. So it was like I was going through
Mhm.
all of that. Like it was hard. I don't want to say horrible, but I don't y'all know me by now. My words, it was kind of horrible until I got
Mhm.
to like middle school. I remember I don't want to jump myself. I'm trying to go kind of fast, so I'm trying to pace myself.
Yeah,
Like
take
my
it down.
sister, Alexis went off to basic training, but when she came back safe. Okay, so when it was like the Lexus that I knew growing up was not the Lexus that returned home. So now we're not only learning about going to church all the time, but now, okay, y'all got to be saved. Y'all want to go to heaven. Y'all want to be saved, you know. So I had that to think about when I went into middle school. When I went
There
to
she
middle
go.
school, my mom, there she go. I'm talking about you. But anywho, my mom pulled me out of Hampton County School and put me in a Beaufort County in a private school when I was 14. And I think from there is when my life started to pick up. And, God had, it was like, to me, that's when he was like cultivating me and really opened up my eyes and who he kind of want me to be, directing my path. You
Mm-hmm.
know, a lot of people know me from singing. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
When I was little, I used to love picking up stuff to sing with it, play like I was singing. And one night, I will never forget, my sister and my mom told me to stop jumping. I had a tennis racket. Told me to stop jumping, singing. I was one of them kids, yeah, yeah. But anywho, only thing I remember jumping off the couch singing, and it bust all of my insides. Almost killed me. The doctor told my mama 1 inch, I would have been dead. So to me, it was like God was just prepping it. He was just prepping the voice. Lexi say hyper, but I say
You know she's
anointing. The
you
anointing
you know how they
is
going you
coming.
know she gonna
Woo!
talk trash.
You can't you can't have the anointing unless you got the scars, honey. I got the scars to
Okay.
prove.
Oh goodness.
So, so as when I went to this private school, it was a small school called Little People College.
Mm-hmm.
Now I already made up my mind. Okay, I'm about to be the new girl in school. My first school, I'm about to be the new person.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm gonna do stuff that I never did at my old school, at home, because now nobody know me, so I could get to go out and I could just, do what I want to do. I want to be a cheerleader. I want to play basketball. I said, I'm gonna just do it all. Well, when I got there, they had none of that. None, absolutely
Mm-hmm.
none. Only thing they had was a choir, and you must be on it. It was a must that you join. Shout out to Kim Johnson if she ever watched this. She made us join. My
Wow.
first time ever singing out in front of people was, besides my family, was at Little People College.
Mm-hmm.
So now, when I got there, they decided that they was going to close the school. That was going to be the last year when I got there, that it was going to close the school. So now I migrated back home and I went to North District and got on the choir there. They had the gospel choir going. Miss Capers, Dolores Capers had it going. And I was like, well, I could join that because I just left that from school and everything just took off from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so my childhood was pretty good. It was pretty
Mm-hmm.
good. Got in high school. It was like, well, in middle school, actually, when I got in 8th grade, Mr. Bowser, I know he gonna be like, well, why she didn't tell about that? I end up out of nowhere. I end up getting sick. I will never forget. I was in class one day. I want to say I was supposed to stay after school. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember, but I ended up getting sick and I fell out. And he ended up having to do CPR on me inside that classroom to bring me back.
Wow.
And they call it at the time low blood sugar. Never knew anything because I kept having fainting spells.
Mm.
And so it was like stuff just like it was like God was just dealing. If you look at it, it was like he was just dealing with me in little
Mm-hmm.
situations. I'm like, okay, because it was like during that time when was in 8th grade, going to 9th grade, my grand aunt passed. And no, when I was in 9th grade, it was when I really had an encounter with the Lord because um they took us, Miss Dr. Catherine. She used to be the director over the Jasper County courts, and they
Mhm.
used to combine us during the year at certain times,
Mhm.
and we would have like a conference, and we all make up this one big choir. And I will never forget that night because she was asking a question. She was like, y'all may be young, but I want all of y'all to go to heaven, and and if you die now, you're not going. You're not going because you know better, so you're not going. And I remember I tore up them people church. I'm sorry. I'm
Mm.
sorry, Baptist Center. I'm sorry. Yeah, but it's when I could say I first had an encounter with the Lord at the age of 15.
Amen.
15. So that
Wow.
was my child.
So do you look back and you see, do you kind of see what it was that God had placed on the inside of you even at a young age?
It didn't
Did
really.
you not really understand it? Because I know
I
when we're young, sometimes we don't understand.
I didn't. I didn't because it's like I'm saying like when I sit down, I'm like God. Like you've been calling us for me for the longest, and I'm like, nah, just playing around. Because
Mhm.
I even think about as a child, my aunt Kathy, she used to get her friends and she was like, oh, let Rivka sing. Rivka could sing it, or she'll dance. She'll dance for you. Just let her do it. And it's like, when I see stuff like that, I'm like, I'm sad that I didn't recognize it then when I should have.
Okay, okay. So let's kind of go forward a little bit. Let's get to like high school and out of high school. Where was
Oh,
your life then?
high school. High school. Let me straighten up my hat.
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
No, but for high school was okay. It was okay. I ended up getting pregnant in high school and I dropped out.
Mhm.
I had my daughter at 18. I got pregnant at 17 and I had her at 18. And I dropped out because it was like, it was stupidity, first of all, because I don't recommend it to nobody. If you're a teen and you're pregnant, keep going forward. Do not stop. I had a teacher. I think I'm telling you, it was like always the adults coming to me. I had one of my teacher when I found out I was pregnant. She said, "Well, I know a place I could take you to get rid of it, and your mother would never know."
Wow.
And she was like, "Because you can't just be walking around the halls all big like that and pregnant." And I remember telling her, "I'm like, I'm not getting rid of my baby. I'm not doing that." And for those that don't know, I got pregnant at the time. My daughter's father was a minister.
Mhm.
But the backlash didn't go to him. It came to me. I got put out the gospel choir. I was told that I was an embarrassment to even sing, and I was not a good representative to be up there to even sing on a gospel choir because I was pregnant. And I had other people come and tell me, they're like, why you lying on the man of God? You lying on the man of God. You shouldn't do that. So it was like all that pressure came to me. And I decided, you know what? I don't want to embarrass him, because that's one thing I never did. I never put him out there, like tear him down. I'm like, this is something I just got to live with. And I dropped out. I dropped out.
Mhm.
And when I dropped out, my mom, I was trying to hide that thing from her so bad, but my mom got an eye. She don't believe it, but she a prophet. I
Mhm.
know she
Oh,
is,
mamas, the mamas, I tell you, especially them
Oh,
good saved ones, the ones good and saved. Oh yes.
tell me about it because it's like between her and my pastor, the late Reverend Leroy Johnson. I didn't tell anybody. I was just, I was like, you know what? I'm just go ahead and drop out because every time she was like, "You going to school?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going." I wait till she go to work, and I'm like, "I'm going. I'm not going to school for them people to keep bashing me about because
Mhm.
I'm pregnant. I'm not doing it. I'm not. I don't want to hear it." And I remember I had one friend, this guy, he was in my class. He was like, because I told him I was gonna drop out. And he was like, "Man, don't do it. Man, bump them people. Man, bump, you don't know who are they dad, the kids' daddy is." I would never forget. It was so funny. But I mean, I was like, it was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it like, I'ma just be honest. We was
Mhm.
a type of family that people thought that we were really nothing. seriously. So, and I'm
Mm.
like, dang, here it is. People really think we're nothing. Like my mom with all of the 4 kids, and they're looking at us. And now here it is. I'm bringing more embarrassment on her. So it was like, well, not everybody knew I was pregnant because I just really found out, and
Hmm.
the news went Wi-Fi. I mean, it spread real quick.
Well, you
So
know that small town we from. Oh
small
my
town, and it
gosh.
was the adult that spread it. Can
Mm, I
I add
believe it.
that? I'm like, you ain't even give me a chance to tell my peers. Jesus. But anywho, God bless you, ma'am or sir, whoever told. God bless you. We're gonna put you on the prayer line tonight. Okay. But any, but anyway, when I dropped out, and I remember my pastor, I was staying with my daughter's cousin one time. I would go back and forth, spend a night with her. And he came and he picked us up, me and my sister, from there one day. And it was very strange. 'Cause I'm like, my pastor coming to pick us up? And I knew he knew my daughter's family. Because he was from around that area. And when he picked us up and he took us out to eat, I'm like, dog, Reverend Johnson taking us out to eat? I know it was a setup. So I was like, okay. So he told me he was waiting there. I'll sit there and I eat. And I mean, I was eating too. He was like, I'm gonna just come and ask you, you with child? I was like, yes,
Mm,
sir. So he was like, no, don't be embarrassed. It done happened, and God's still gonna use you. I would never forget those words. And he said,
wow.
don't let anybody make you feel bad because it. And at the time, he didn't know I was dropping out of school. So then I came home. He dropped us on to my mom, and I was like, I thought he probably snitched on us, but he didn't. He didn't snitch on me.
Mhm.
So my mom, she went through. I was real happy. We was talking about something. I mean, I was just dying laughing. And she said, "Who the daddy is?" And I'm like, "Huh?"
Mhm.
So I came
Mhm.
out and told. But what I think from there is when me and my mom relationship like changed, because it was like
Mhm.
I got to see her in another light, because she did not condemn me. She
Mm,
didn't like punish me, make me feel bad. She was like, "Well, we're just gonna have to do what we got to do."
mhm.
And she never did say, because I was waiting for the words to say, Rivka, I'm very disappointed in you. She
Mm.
never said that.
Wow, that's
So here it
amazing.
is. This young girl drop out of school with this baby, no job,
Mhm.
not a daddy, no
Mhm.
nothing, just us. And my mom, she bust her tail. We were staying in this house. It's actually my great grandfather them
Oh,
house.
your mama right there.
That's it. I love you, mommy.
Yeah.
She didn't condemn me. I love you. I appreciate that. I never did tell you, but mama, I love you, mama. But I remember one Saturday we got up. It was like probably a couple of weeks after she found out I was pregnant, and she told me and my sister, she was like, get up and get dressed. And I'm like, well, where we going? It was early. It was early. And she said, don't worry about it. We going. We just going for a ride. So when we got in the car, we got to Buford. I'm like, well, where we going? She said, I'm going to get us a house because I don't want nobody to try to take your baby if they just look on the outside of this house. They don't know what's inside, but they're just going on by the outside, and they're going to probably try to snatch your baby. So I'm
Wow.
going to get us a house.
Mm.
And that right there,
Wow.
when I got back home, I ain't let her know, but I just boohoo cried. I'm like, Lord, 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 Lord. What, because it was like I felt like a burden, but she never made me feel like it was a burden, because I'm like, here it is, I'm bringing another mouth in the house for her to feed. And, she taking care of me. And she even like, well, Rivka, you need to go to school. You need to go back to school. She even paid for me to go to this school, but I didn't do it. I
Mhm.
didn't do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
I
now,
love that. I love how loving your mom was, and that's something that you know that's a to me that's a encouragement for those parents that may be dealing with a young child that
yes,
may be pregnant. What advice
yes.
would you give them?
I would give them, like, embrace them, because it's a lonely journey. It's already hard for them, because Here it is. You, if they're a teen, they ain't got no job. They
Mhm.
don't know the first thing about a baby. I've been around kids, but now it's like, because I had two nieces prior, to me having my baby and a nephew. But I'm looking like this somebody that I got to keep with me all the time. I can't. This ain't a baby that just gonna go home with their mom. So it's
Mhm.
like they don't need that extra, that mouth. I know it may hurt you as a mom, but it will make them more better as a mother to their child if you just embrace them and keep encouraging them.
Amen. Amen. Okay, I'm gonna let you keep going. Just want to do that
Okay.
little plug right there.
Yeah, yeah. But that was a good question though, because teen moms are my heart, really though. They really are. But got 19, and just like I said, I felt like a burden to my mom. I was like, you know what? I started dating this guy. Everybody know who I was dating at the time. 19, I was dating Jay Washington, and we ended up getting married.
Mhm.
Cause I was like, I'm ready to get out my mama's house. My sisters and my brother, they all left at that age. I'm like, I'm not about to be here with a baby, and I'm supposed to be grown now. And she
Mhm.
was like, Rivka, you ain't got to leave. You ain't got to leave. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go ahead. Got married, and I was married for almost 10 years.
Okay.
And me and my husband, we got a divorce.
Mhm.
But I appreciate him because he accept me and my child. So
Mhm.
at one time, that was the only dad my daughter knew.
Yeah.
He took her as his own. And even to this day, sometimes people will say, "You look just like your daddy." And I'm like, well, what daddy you think? So it's a true saying, sometimes
She
you can
does
see
look like
kids
him
till
now.
you
She
look.
really does.
Because I mean, she looked like she could really be
Mhm.
a part of that family. Sometimes
Yeah.
she used to walk like I'm like, hey, straighten up, girl. But that I really appreciate him for that. I really do. That
Mhm.
always will hold a special place in my heart. But here it is. I got divorced when I was 20, almost 25.
Now let's pause at the divorce.
Yes.
How did you get through that? Because people have to understand. Many times people are judgmental and critical when it comes to getting a divorce, especially in the church. I ain't gonna go there all the way in there with that right now, but I'm just saying, how
It,
did you get through the process of that? Because everybody said, well, you get married again, you going to hell because you commit adultery because your spouse still living and all that. But what people don't understand is that everyone has a choice, and
everyone.
if you say you don't want to be with me, I don't care if I pray, fast, ask for angel visitations, get a prophetic word, run revival. If you already made up your mind, you're done. I can't do anything about that. And one thing about God, we got to remember, He doesn't override anybody's will. So, how did
Nobody.
you deal with going through a divorce at such a young age? And I know you probably done heard everything there's to hear. How did you get through that process?
Listen, much prayer. And when I tell you, it was like at the time God sent certain people in my life to speak when I really needed it. Did. Cause it was like even when I was going through divorce, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop singing because I know it's embarrassed. And I was at the time I was in a Baptist church, and you know how
Well, you
strong,
know you're not gonna sing in there. Oh no, man.
they are about divorce. And I would never. One day it was like, okay, when I was going through the process, and just like you said, when nobody wants you, I was just like, okay, God, just crying. I was the type. I'm crying, snot nose.
Mhm.
At the time, Brandy was trying to fool me to wear eyelashes. I was wearing eyelashes on the side of my face that time, praying for my marriage to work
Mhm.
because it was like, I didn't know how to be a wife, but God taught me how to be a wife, and I always hold it sacred to me. So when I hear people used to talk, and I'm like, the sad part, it was like I wasn't really too much worried about myself, but my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter one day went somewhere and somebody questioned her about it. And I was peeved.
Mm-hmm.
I was peeved. And I was like, because they expect, I know I'm saved. And that's another thing they like to play on. Don't take my saveness for my weakness.
Come on.
I no. You
That's
will
right.
not do that. And at the time it was like I was questioning my faith. I was questioning, did I really know God? Did he really call me to do what I was doing? Am I
Mm-hmm.
worthy enough to be standing up there singing to his people? Because singing is ministry. You're just singing his words through song and you're ministering to somebody. Am I worthy to do that? Because at the time, I'm broken inside, but God still had me ministering to people.
Mm-hmm.
It was like mind-boggling to me because I'm like, let me tell you, it was so bad. I could tell you. I remember sitting in my house one day and I took my daughter down to Yamasee and I dropped her off to my mom. And I said, well, I went back home and I was like, you know what? This is so embarrassing because, as you know, I was married to a well known family. So it
Mhm.
wasn't secret. My stuff ended up in a newspaper. That's how bad it was. So I was
Wow.
in a newspaper. Yeah. So I'm sitting there and I'm crying because I didn't show. I stayed in my house for like good 6 months. Certain people saw me, and Pastor T was one of them. I appreciate her to the fullest because she ministered to me too.
Mhm.
And I was in the house and I was about to take my own life. I'll
Mm.
never forget it. I was sitting in the in my bathroom, and I was about to take my own life. And I was like, God, I know you don't forgive, self murder. But God,
Mhm.
you got to have a place for me because this right here is too hard. This is a
Mhm.
burden that I won't wish on my worst enemy. I'm
Yeah.
already embarrassed because I felt like, okay, not only did I'm young and I got pregnant, but now I'm young and divorced. And I'm probably my grandmother only grandchild that's divorced. Our family don't really talk about divorce like that. Like I'm the first with this, and I'm like, this cannot be. This
Yeah.
cannot be my life. And my phone rung. As I went to cut, my phone
Mm.
rang. And it was Benji Robinson. And he said,
Wow.
Ruff, what you doing? He said, I don't know, but you've been on my mind. And God, I don't know what's going on. I just kept hearing your name just ringing to me. What's wrong? You okay? You know, and only thing I could do was just sit there and cry. I didn't say anything to him. I sit on that phone and I cried, I cried because I was the type too. Like nobody would never know that I was hurting.
Mm.
Everybody think, okay, yeah, Riff the tough one. So
Mm.
it was like at this time I can't hide anything. I'm vulnerable, so I stayed in the house. I didn't want nobody to see me. I just shut everybody off, including my family. I did. My sister, them, what they would call me, my family, we are close knit fam, and
Mhm.
they would call me, but I was like, I didn't want them to know what I was going through because I felt like, well, they don't understand what I'm going through because that's something that nobody would never really understand unless you really, really, really go through it. And I was to the type to where I'm y'all, I'm sorry, but I'm very transparent because I just want, because when you're young and you're married, I want to tell this to like, if you're gonna get married and you're a young age, learn to have identity for yourself. Don't depend on nobody. My mom taught me that. She taught me that, but I didn't pick it up. So here it is, like I'm with a baby. And well, at this time, my baby about to be, she growing up. She's 8 years old. But I had no job, nothing in my name. So it's like I absolutely had nothing when it came to material things. The only thing I did have was faith. That's the only thing I could rely on was God. Well, I will never forget it. My God told me at 6, when I think around about 6 months, the Lord said, all right, that's enough. No, 3. It was 3 months. He said, that's enough of that. Wipe your face off. Get up. Dry yourself. Hold your head up. It wasn't nothing you did. Let's get it. Let's go back. So I went to my hairdresser. She closed. I love you, Brandy. She closed the shop down for me to do my hair. I stressed so much to where I only had like a little piece of my hair. And I want to bring a picture on just to show you. And she was up there praying, Lord Jesus, how I'm gonna get this girl here. Cause I was like, Brandy, I can't let nobody see me like this. You know, it looked like I had a crew cut. That's how much
Wow.
my hair came out. And so I end up with the Fantasia haircut. Everybody, ooh, child, I love that. I will never forget. After she did my hair, we went to church, and everybody, Rivka, you cut your girl. Where you been at? I look, girl, that hair look good on you. Me and her look at each other like, if you only knew this, all I had left. Like, but that I think my divorce was the hardest thing I could probably ever deal with besides school. I was raped when I was younger. Um, I don't want to even put it, it was just that
It's
was something that I
something.
really can't explain. But you know what was crazy though? In the midst of all of that, I had preachers coming to me, asking me, well, I'm going through this in my marriage. What will you suggest that I do? And I just look up and I just started laughing. I know they thought I was probably crazy, but I just started laughing because I'm like, you do know what I'm going through right now, right? You know, I'm in the midst of getting a divorce. And they were like, yeah. I'm like, well, your relationship is not like mine. If it's worth savaging, savage it. You know, pray on it. Pray together. Don't let no one come in between you and your marriage. Don't ever. I don't care how hard it get. Don't ever let no one come between you and your marriage. If you could savage it, you know. And now with me, I I could be honest. God did not put me and my first husband together. We put ourselves together. And as you could tell when I tell you in the beginning, I was ready to get out my mama house. And I know he wanted to really get married because that's what happened. So, you know, sometimes when you try to force marriage and God ain't tell you to do it,
And then
it
those are the
don't
very
work.
ones y'all out here trying to make us stand.
Come on. Come on. Cause now, like with me and my marriage at the time, like I stayed in church because church was all I knew, you know, and I sang a lot. So here it is sometime on Sunday, I'm at 2 or 3 programs. And you know, you're gonna go through that because when you're not enjoying and God, oh, confusion gonna be there, honey. And my husband at the time wanted to know, like, what you going to church so much for? Who there? I used to tell him, come on and find out. You'll see. But it just showed me as I, got, learning and how God opened and revealed it. Like, I didn't put you with him. You put yourself. And, we don't like to deal with consequences. We don't like to take ownership of the things we do. We want to point fingers at everybody or this wouldn't work because of this. No, I can't even blame God on that because he didn't join me with him. He didn't. I see me and my ex-husband, we see each other now. I'm like, hey, we good friends. How you doing? Because we knew I could speak for myself. I knew that that was not my husband. That's who God did not desire for me, you know. So
Yeah, because many times we can get our voices confused with God.
yes,
We can have dreams. People can come out, yeah, the Lord say, and
come
it's all
on,
flesh. It's
come on.
all flesh. It's Ishmael and it's not Isaac.
And
And that's
so
why I said we have to be so mindful of some of y'all out here lying, telling people to get married. Stop doing that. One
stop.
thing I learned about the prophetic, I was taught in one class I took, is you don't prophesy dates and you don't prophesy people's marriages.
No.
Because some of the ones people put together, God never even put together. And then when they get divorced, you throwing every scripture at them, tell them how they gonna bust hell wide open, but you was a liar that told them to get married. I'm sorry.
And and my mom used to say one thing, and I always stuck with that. Coming to see me is not like living with me. You can see what's going on the outside, but you ain't seen what's going on the inside. And like Lexi said, lust too. Lust will make you feel like the Lord said, Listen, and for me, when I married my husband, he was like one of the first guys that I ever had treat me like a lady. And I always
Mhm.
say that God was just showing me what was my worth at that time. Because mind you, I'm coming out of all these brokenness, all these broken promises, all this abuse relationships that I've been in. And now I finally, I got my daughter, I'm, grown, I'm coming into adulthood. And now it's like he's trying to show me what was my worth. And I took that as like, oh, there go my bow ass. No, you lie, honey. Sit down. No, don't be too quick. Don't be too quick. And okay, he opened the door for you today. But what about after you say I do? Better shut that own door, girl. Foot say body. Better show one foot in and let the other one follow. Listen, don't go, don't go on that, because sometimes people get married because they never been treated what their worth was, and God literally trying to show them who they really supposed to, how they supposed to be treated. But not everybody. You're supposed to weigh that thing. And I could tell people now. My daughter, I know if she watching it, when she come on, she'll look at it. She's 20. She turned 22 the other day, and while she was dating, I told her, I said, "Let me tell you something. Like, they got this new thing about talking, and cause I was like, oh, so you go with him, Mama? People don't do that no more. We don't say no girlfriend and boyfriend and stuff. So like, no, we talk, we get to know each other. So I was like, well, how long you talk before you know that you're dating? And she was like, well, we both got to come in agreements with that. And it's like, you just know. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should have been talking. But I jumped into dating. But when the thrill is gone, the true colors come out. You hear
Okay.
me? Because, like, when you dating, everything's sweet. Oh, they fold up clothes. They tell you they love, baby, you look good today. Oh, okay. Oh, what's that perfume you got on? Oh, okay. You get married. Couple weeks after. Hey, how you doing? I dress up for you today. You like it? Mm. The heck is I don't do sound language. I speak. You're not deaf. You know? But this is stuff that, you know what, and I always tell people too, if you're going to get married, do counseling.
Oh,
Do
please.
counseling. They like
Yeah,
to knock that out. Me tell you, a counselor will ask questions that you should have asked, but because you so caught up, you ain't gonna ask it.
that's it.
Do counseling.
That's it.
Counseling is the best gift that God could ever have given us. And
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the counselors because they will ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what if she gets sick? Will you be there to help her when she get, Because what if the leg muscle go and you got to pick up,
That's right.
or wipe her down? Will you be able to do that?
That's right.
What if they got a weak stomach? They were like, nah, I ain't gonna do nothing like that now.
Mhm.
You need to know that stuff.
Yeah. And another thing that blinds us as well is uh encouraging people to test the car before it's time to go down the aisle. Because I that was what happened to me. One of the things that blinded me, and you feel, oh well, we good to bed, that you think that that's going to make a marriage work, and it's not.
Woo-hoo.
It will blind you.
It will and it make more
Please,
things complicated.
if you say you walk with God and you say you are a person of God, don't do that. I'm begging
Eh,
you, don't do it. Me
I-
and Rivka begging y'all, please,
we begging you, don't
please
do that, because
get
they'll
a
make they
chastity belt. Don't do it.
yes. Hold yourself. Hold yourself.
Hold yourself.
Hold it. If you can't hold it, just say, look, if you feel that feeling coming over you, because cause they could, certain things can make people
Yeah.
aroused now. Because it's like, look, I'll be back. This say something stupid. I promise you, it'll help you calm.
Oh, she saying don't marry nobody you met at the mental health department. Oh.
Well, Jesus, yeah, don't go there until they've been delivered.
Yes, I'm telling you.
Delivered.
Yes. So how did God restore everything?
Okay. I remember after that, I was like, God, I'm not getting married anymore. You can have that. And just like I said, I've been in church all my life. I went through a wild phase because
Mhm.
it was like I felt like, okay, I'm grown, but I can't. It was, let me tell you how the devil played with you. And because this was not God. So don't y'all go out and say this. Rivka say Jesus will tell you stuff. No, no. Devil had me thinking like, well, how you gonna testify to people when you never like alcoholics? You ain't never been drunk a day in your life. How you gonna
Mhm.
testify? Girl, I went out and I got drunk. I will never
Mhm.
forget it. Got drunk, and now I'm in church. But I'm just going. It's like because my mind is just like I don't know who I am because
Yeah.
I had to get to that part. Who is Rivka? Who do God say Rivka is? But I got drunk and only took one time for God to woke me up. A heater chased me that night, and I ended up going to work in high heels. So that should tell you a lot. Rivka, that ain't been your department. You don't tell. You ain't got to testify about everything, honey. No, that ain't your lane to go and save the drunk because you can't handle it. Don't worry about when I tell you. And then I started dating, and I went through because it was like. But here's the thing: while I was in that lonely part, and I wasn't looking for nobody, but Satan was sending them,
Mm.
and he'll do that because a lot of us don't want to deal with loneliness. And I was one. I was used to being with somebody. And I'm like, okay, God, I had one pursue me so long and I thought that was what God had for me. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So as I realized what was going on, I was like, God, I don't know what I'm giving off, but I need you to confirm to me what it is that I'm giving off to make these spirits come to me. And and I'm like, and I talk to God real. I'm like, I'm in remedial class, God. I need remedial. I need for you to tell me, yeah, I know, and give me. I need like dead on the spot. No, that one right there crazy. That one right there, something ain't right about that one. I need that, Lord, because I need remedial class because I do not want to. I like how he said it, tricked by emotions.
Mhm.
I do not want to be that. So I started, like this being by myself, me and my daughter. It was all we she would tell you, she was like, that was the best time for me because we were just going different places and I was just getting to know her. She was getting to know me and I'm getting to know myself.
Yeah.
And I'm in church, God got me going and I would never forget I went to Georgia one day, the Lexus, and this guy was there preaching. It wasn't the same her pastor, and she didn't even tell us that they was having a guest speaker that day. And when he got up and he was preaching something, it was just like questions that I had for the Lord and that I needed to be answered was all answered that Sunday. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm going up to him and telling him he need to come to Yamasee. I got to hear more of him. I just want to know because this is something I never heard before in my life. And Apostle Daniel, that's my apostle now. So, and
Yes.
he would call me. He literally would call me during that time that I was going through and I was getting to know, and he would minister to me. And I remember like certain guys that I was dating. I was like, what you think about? I was like, this guy came up to me and this is what, he was like, well, what are you feeling? I mean, like he would ask questions that need to be asked. And I never had nobody, to do that with me. And I was telling him, I was like, well, he good, I think, my daughter, I always worry about my daughter. I was like, he was like, well, is there anybody that you would have around your daughter that you feel comfortable with? I was like, well, I'm just didn't do that just yet because I want to see if they're comfortable with me first. He was like, no, because you need to find all of that out. And I was like, wow, okay, yeah. So at the time I was going to church, I met my husband now. I met him a while back, and when I met him, he was stuck up.
Mm-mm.
That was like, I was like, hey, how you doing? He was like, I don't even think he spoke. If you're on here, you did not speak. He always said he did. And then he said that I said, hey, baby, I don't say nothing. So I know that wasn't me. I don't know who talked to him that day, but I'm glad they don't talk to him no more. But I remember seeing him. We had union one day, and he came and he's like, "Oh, um, you have a beautiful voice, and just keep continue letting God use you." And I remember in my head, I'm like, I know he ain't talking to me. This guy, like, God, that ain't it. Nope. Ah, nope. So one day I was at work and he came in my inbox. And now it was like now I was free. I felt comfortable like dating and like trying to get to trust people, over. And he had to minister to me a lot. He really did. He really did. And he built me up by sending different people. And Apostle Daniel was one of the main ones. And so me and Reggie, he started talking, and what caught my eyes, because it was something that I would never choose for myself. And I told God I needed to be remedial. Every time we would hang up, before we hang up, he was like, "Oh, well, let us pray together," because I love to pray. I'm like, oh my God, like, God, I'm gonna have one of those. I'm like, I need sleep. But it did something to me. I was like, this man asked to pray with me. And I was like, okay. And he respect me. He didn't ask to test drive. He wanted to know about Rivka. And I was like, okay. Like, okay, I think I could go for this. And we went to church together. When I asked about going to church, oh, where we going? Sure, let's go. You know, Tuck down me, dress nice. I ain't got to teach this one how to dress, smell good. I'm like, okay, God, and he easy on the eyes. Okay. So that's how God did it. Like he literally showed me, okay, this is your husband. This is who you supposed to be with.
Wow. And I
Because
love the fact that there is an age difference.
it's the age.
Let's talk to these sisters about this. See, everybody
Yes.
says it's a bad thing.
I'm so
It's
happy you
not.
asked. Me and my husband are 23 years apart.
Wow.
But when he told me his age, I'm like, man, you lying. I'm like, nah. Because he looked younger. He really do. He took real good care of it. He take real good care of himself. And I'm like, well, how we click so much? Because it's like I knew him all my life. He's more the lower calm of Rivka, and he's very the opposite of me.
Gotta have that.
So when people used to talk about age, I'm like, listen, I dated. Let's not even talk about age. I'm looking about maturity. For
Yes.
me, it's the maturity, and I always look at men. I could see older men dating younger women
Mhm.
because women tend to grow up quicker. We are more matured sometimes in certain ways, and we learn quicker somewhat in different aspects than men.
Mhm.
So men don't jump down my throat with that, please. We,
You said some, so you didn't say everybody.
I ain't say everybody now, but so with me and Reggie, we one thing I love about him, like I was used to crabbing. I didn't do the fishing thing. What he liked, I didn't mind learning. And what I like, he didn't mind learning. So
Mhm.
it was like, and then what we didn't, know, we already had in common. So when people talk about age to me, I'm looking like, look, you could
Young.
date certain men and they act their shoe size.
Mhm.
So don't go by the age, honey, because you will be bamboozled. Okay, you hear
Mhm.
me? Because some older guys still think, hey, like they still want to play the game. So, but I love the fact that I don't have the problem with my age different with me and my husband. I just love him. I just love the man.
Come on here. Come
I
on
just
here.
love that man.
Come on now. Come on. Come
I love
on.
you, baby. In my
Oh
Miss Bolden voice, I love you, baby.
that is awesome. So your story basically lets us know that God can redeem anybody.
Anybody. And guess what? And also too, what he had for you is way better than what you thought for yourself.
Yes.
Way better than what you thought, because what I probably would have settled with is way beneath who God really wanted for me.
Hmm.
And not saying like the other guys, because I'm not throwing down the other guys that I date, but we
Exactly.
just didn't match. It just wasn't there. So don't always settle, because I'm like, and God had to deal with me with that too. Like, we say we priest and we royalty, but we think so mediocre. Like, we think so little. I mean, I used to think so because I really did suffer with low self esteem. I always thought I was the ugliest one out my mother kids. I really did. I was like,
Hmm.
I was more darker, and I had the dark rings around my eyes, and I'm like, well, legs and more. Everybody, they used to get people like that. I didn't date like that until I got older. So I'm like, I always felt I had that low self esteem, and it's don't always answer to what people say you are too, and that will happen to me because I answered to that. People, oh yeah, that Rivka, but no, that's not what God desired for you. My God always desired for me to have way more than what I always settled for.
That's it.
He
That
always
is
did.
yeah, that
And
is
it's
it.
like when we could view ourselves through his eye lens,
Mhm.
then like now. Cause I would never understood, I could never understood like when I used to be turned off with guys that always want to flash their money. I'm like, God, who dumb? Like, cause most people like, yeah, give me that. But that was a turn off. He said, because you're worth more than money. Your price, they can't even buy you because you're priceless. So that's why, so don't always settle. Don't always settle for, yeah, don't always settle.
Yeah. The main thing is, like you said, be open.
Be open. Be open. Because, he will choose, and let him choose for you. There's nothing wrong with letting God. I'm telling you, his y'all, his buffet is way better. Okay. They got prime
Mhm.
rib. I'm telling you, it's way better.
Yes.
Way better. Way better.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes.
Yes.
So, can you let me know how can everybody get in contact with you?
Sure. Yeah, I'm on social media, Facebook as Rivka Smalls Brown. I do have a YouTube page, but just contact me on Facebook is mostly where you can reach me at. My phone number is always open because I do ministry all over. So it's 843-812-1449. And you can reach out to me there.
Okay. Make sure I got that right. And make sure I put that right. Eight four three eight
Yes,
two
yes,
one
yes.
four four nine.
Right. And
Oh,
my email, rivkasmalls@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. I'm there.
Rivka Smalls at Gmail.
Yes.
Okay. Hope I did that right.
That's it. You did.
Right. All right. I thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you
here
for
and
oh,
sharing your story. It really blessed us. It really blessed us.
I'm so happy. I pray that it do touch someone, and just like I say, even for the teen mom, or you're in a marriage that, you feel like you need a way out and religion trying to hold you there and God trying to remove you, it's best to go with God answer than religion. Because religion gonna send you to hell for real. It will send you to hell for real. You
Yeah,
know.
that is true. Well, you guys, this is all we have for this Friday night. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Please be sure to share this. And if you didn't catch the beginning, you are free to go back. You can go to YouTube. It costs me everything. And you can also, of course, find this on Facebook as well. So God bless you guys. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and we will see you next time.
Bye bye.